Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Elevate with C&M Coaching. My name's Maggie. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Sorry I was gone. I am back today, and I have a great topic that I would love to talk about. If any of you subscribe to Dealer Used Car Magazine, you will have seen that I had an article. It is on page 36. It's called Comeback, and it's titled Not Having a Process in Place to Follow Up with Customers Who Don't Buy is a Wasted Opportunity. And I thought since we had this article here, it would be a great idea to talk about this today. So one of the things that we do when we mystery shop dealerships is we pay attention to the 3-day follow-up. So we'll submit a lead to your store, we'll leave the lead open for 3 days, and then we wait to see what happens over that 3-day period. We always try to take the initial phone call if we can. Sometimes we miss it and it goes to voicemail, but we'll always call back. But then we watch for the next 3 business days to see what happens. Frustratingly, a lot of times we're not seeing any follow-ups, which means that there is a lot of management that's not happening in your CRMs to track that follow-up process. And if you don't have a CRM, it is 2022 and it is time to hop on board. Please check out a CRM when you go to the next conference and find one that matches what you're looking for, because you need to be tracking these things. Ideally, what should really be happening is we should be picking up the phone and calling these customers within about 15 minutes of receiving their inquiry. It is obvious that the quicker you call the customer, the more likely that customer is to actually be available, but it can take up to 14 attempts to reach a customer if you leave them a message that first time around and you don't get in touch with them. My advice is always fairly simple. Call your customers and do follow-up calls. If you have a really good first initial phone call, you won't have to make as many follow-up calls. However, if you do have to make follow-up calls, it could be a lot visit, an unsold phone call, it could be an internet lead, whatever it might be, even an inbound phone call. If you don't get what you need out of that first phone call, try again. I always encourage people to base their follow-up process on the situation, because there can be an automated approach to this. You can totally set up text messages and emails to automatically go out to customers who we haven't heard from or contacted, but that personal touch is really what's going to help you earn that customer's business. So say, for example, someone gives you the excuse of they need to check their schedule. That's a really easy workaround, and you should learn some tentative techniques to help you set that appointment here and now and not be doing callbacks. But in the event that the customer does push back on that excuse, the best thing that you could do is tell them you'll give them a call tomorrow to see if they've had a chance to check their schedule. Another example is occasionally we'll see situations where a car has been totaled and a customer who had insurance is waiting for their insurance check to use it as a down payment for the next vehicle. And this is a good example because in this scenario, they probably won't have the check for a couple of days. So you have some options. You could either have the customer in, let them place a deposit to hold the vehicle. That way you're at least, attempting to earn their business now. You could do deferred downs. Whatever your plan may be, it's a good idea to still try to get them in now. If you can't, then the next best option is going to be a follow-up call. So tailor your follow-up process for that specific customer based on their needs. If it's Monday and they expect to get their check by Friday, then let them know you'll give them a call on Friday to see what's going on. Your other option is to set an appointment for Saturday and then call them Friday to see if they've received the check. Always try to think outside the box when it comes to trying to set an appointment, and also the follow-up plan as well. Being not only personal, but obviously professional is going to be super important. So I am a huge fan of sending text messages, but keep them professional. I see so many emojis and text messages, and there was somebody in my last speaking session at TIADA that was basically a company that does this sort of thing. And they were kind of like afterwards saying to me, well, we put these things in here because studies show this and studies shows that. It's one thing if you know the customer, you have a really good relationship with them. Otherwise, I don't think praying hands, like please call me back, praying hands emoji is appropriate for a text message. I think smiley faces are okay, but I just don't really see the need for them. Customers are looking for facts. They're looking for information. They care more about how you can help them than a smiley face or some praying hands. And I don't really think that's going to increase the likelihood a customer is going to respond to you. And again, if we handle that initial interaction just slightly more effectively, it's going to eliminate a lot of these follow-up calls that we have to do. But just make sure that you are consistently following up with customers, and also think about the impact that it can positively have on your referral business as well. If you're a dealer that has a great referral program, try to be reaching out to these customers that were previous customers, even if they didn't purchase. They may know someone that would benefit from purchasing a vehicle from you, and tell them about your referral program. You could even generate an automatic email that goes out, say 3 months after a customer's initial contact, that talks about your referral program and pitches it to the customer, and then asks them who they may know that might need a vehicle. So you can try to generate referrals from there. If you're dealing with a lot visit, so the customer came in, looked around, but ended up not buying, it's a really good idea to pick up the phone and give that customer a call after a week or two. Now, instead of saying, "Are you still in the market for a vehicle?" which I feel like is older than I am, and I was born in the very early 80s. I feel like a better way to phrase that question is, "Hi, this is Maggie calling from C&M Coaching. I hope I've caught you at a good time today. Thanks so much for taking my call. I've called because I wanted to see how your vehicle search was going. You were here a couple of weeks ago. We weren't able to make a deal. Are you still searching for your next vehicle?" And then pause and let the customer answer. The goal here is to get them to tell you what's going on. And if you say, "Are you still in the market for a vehicle?" it kind of locks you in to a yes or no question. But when you say, "How is your vehicle search going?" that's not a yes or no question. So think about the psychology behind the questions that you ask these follow-up customers as well, and try to stay away from yes or no questions, but instead open that conversation so that you have a positive impact on the direction of the call. We need to know where it's going to go. We're trying to still earn this person's business, and even if that might not be today, it could be 6 months from now. So this is a fact-finding conversation. If it turns into a situation where they've purchased, that's when it really becomes an additional fact-finding. Where did you purchase from? How was your experience, if you don't mind me asking? Okay, well, I'd love to, earn your business in the future. Let's go ahead and keep in touch. Do you still have my contact information? And you're still going to have a polite conversation. It's not going to be, "Okay, well, congratulations on your new car. Have a great day." I mean, there are still opportunities here with this person, even if they purchased elsewhere, especially if they purchase elsewhere and their vehicle doesn't have any warranties and is not in the best condition. So there's a lot of different scenarios that occur here. I think the main key component that we always want to think about is, are we following up with our customers? Are we tracking these follow-ups in our CRM? And are we really touching base with these customers effectively? Are we just sending a text message and considering that follow-up? Because it isn't. Pick up the phone and call your customers. I really can't stress that enough. Use all 3 methods of communication. Don't forget to check out my article, because I go in depth on really what to say for each of these different scenarios. That's in Dealer Used Car Magazine. It was the August issue. If you go to C&M Coaching's Facebook page, it is posted there as well, with a direct link to the page that the article starts on. And there's some great information and tips in there about how you can handle these types of calls. If you're a manager, you need to be tracking follow-ups. So you want to be tracking your leads every single day. And then ideally for the next 2 weeks, you want to track those unsold follow-up leads. There should be good notes in the system. You guys take good notes. If your team doesn't take good notes, encourage them to do so. I always 100% have believed in the saying, if it's not in the CRM, it didn't happen. And that goes with splitting deals. That goes with walk-in customers who you may have spoken to on the phone. If it's not in the system, it didn't happen. So your notes need to be good and detailed. Make sure you set up tasks for future follow-up intentions. And sales managers, manage the tasks. Make people do their tasks. They're there for a reason. They shouldn't be standing around looking on Facebook if they have 150 tasks to clear and new leads coming in and the phone is ringing. I'm not saying that happens everywhere, but I am saying I've been in plenty of CRMs and seen hundreds of tasks sitting there for salespeople, and nobody takes control of it. It needs to be managed. It should be looked at daily, and staff follow up with those leads. It's money in your pocket. You might think this is a hard get. I'm never going to sell this customer. And then bam, you pick up the phone and call them 3 months later and they come in and they buy. You cannot predict that. So the only way for you to ensure that you're maximizing your efforts and that you're really truly doing the best that you can do is to actually do it and pick up the phone and follow up with these customers. Now, I'm going to Florida next week. I'm super excited. I'm going to Jacksonville to visit one of my favorite dealerships in the whole wide world, and I'm super excited to get to meet their team. We're going to do some on site training for sales and collections and service, and it's going to be awesome. The weather here in Wisconsin is still really great, but who doesn't love seeing the beach, right? So I'm really looking forward to that. So I don't know if I will have a podcast next week. Hopefully I do. If not, I will be back the following week with a call of the week. And I heard from one of my coaches that she has a perfect collections call dropped in my perfect call folder. So we might check that out next week. Once again, thank you so much for joining us here at Elevate with C&M Coaching. Don't forget, we are offering hosted chat. You can find more information by going to www.chat-more.com. It's super affordable, and Kate, our lead chatter, has a 99% lead data capture rate, which means 99% of the time she is going to obtain data from the visitor on your site. So go check that out. If you have any other questions, please feel free to also reach out to me at maggie@cnmcoaching.com. I will also be at the Super Forum. So I have a booth, so we will be there. That is going to be November 9th, 10th, and 11th. So if you are thinking about going to Austin, Texas for the Super Forum, make sure that you go, and I will see you there, and make sure you stop by. Have a great day, everyone.